AMD, gonna give you the goods next year, January 31st.
Of course Apple won't do this.
And of course, oh man, just when AMD had the biggest W, they pull out an L because they can't design software. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brad host. I'm going to be going over the hottest tech news that I can find on the internet while you enjoy
And I'm
breakfast.
Kyle.
This Tuesday, November 28th, 2023.
That's the year?
Cool.
I forgot.
Yeah, well, in 2024 is when we're expecting to get the next set of chips from AMD. We're looking at getting the new 5700X3D, 5500X3D, and then new 5600 GT and 5500 GT chips, as well as getting those bad boys known as the APUs, the 8600G and 8700G. And I just want to take a moment to say that AMD tried to make their naming scheme less confusing because they said that the first number is supposed to denote the year that it comes out. But now they're releasing new chips in 2024 based on tech from chips that they launched in 2021, if I recall correctly, 2020? Maybe is when the 5000 series came out. So it's getting a little weird, but the next gen APUs, we're looking at getting the 8-core 16-thread 8700G at 65 watts at 5 gigahertz. A 5 gigahertz APU is what we're looking at. That actually probably will be mightily good. I'm looking forward to that. What do you want? How much? How high do you want it to go?
Didn't somebody comment that a couple weeks ago or something? So it was like only 5 gigahertz.
We just got the 5 gigahertz recently, but more interestingly for a lot of people, especially as we brought this up, the more budget-oriented 5700X3D and 5500X3D are expected to be launching on January 1st, likely going to have some sort of CES announcement towards the beginning part of January, and then hit retail shelves on January 31st for you, so that you can have a CPU that allows you to hit higher frame rates on your GPU, but at hopefully a budget price.
Yeah, how much would the 5500X3D be?
It's gotta be like $200. It has to be.
That seems nice.
If that's what it comes in at, but I've lost trust in AMD pricing their CPUs appropriately.
How would you charge more than that for it? They have a million CPUs out now. They're at like every $50 increment.
Yeah.
So like...
I don't know how they would do it, or they could potentially make it OEM only, so where it's only going to like HP or, you know, Lenovo, so you can't ever buy them, but you can get systems with it. That would be bad.
Yeah.
And AMD would do something like that.
They would.
Because they've done that with APUs before. We didn't even get the 4000 series of APUs. They just said, no.
Yeah.
You don't get them. Oh, but also, no, Apple's not going to do this, which is the fact that yesterday, Frore Systems came out with a whole bunch of publications basically trying to get Apple's attention. Okay, Linus put out a video, which was like, Apple watch this, about all of this, and additionally, literally every single other publication was talking about Frore Systems in combination with a MacBook. And in case you're not familiar with this, the Airjet is a piece of technology that can move air with insane static pressure without having any moving parts. It doesn't have a fan.
Solid state, baby.
It's a solid state cooling system. That is correct.
Is this the one that they had at Computex?
It is, in the Zotac mini box, that Z-Box or whatever it was called. So they actually custom fabricated a few different setups in a MacBook Air to show that they could put this in a MacBook Air with no moving fan and actually get it to run faster. It gets close to the MacBook Pro, which has a fan baked into it, even if it has the same chip. So they did that by putting 3 of their Airjet minis in there.
They both just have the same M2 chip in them, don't they?
Correct. So they both have the same M2 chip. The difference is the Pro, the 13-inch MacBook Pro, has a spinning fan.
That's really the only difference between the Air and the Pro?
That is the performance difference between the two, yes.
Yeah, this seems like a no-brainer.
Here's the thing. It becomes clear to me, based on the marketing that everybody put out there, that Frore Systems is absolutely looking for Apple to pay attention to them on this. But this company has been invested in by Intel, right? So they have their legs in that world. Here's the truth of it, and this is a conversation people don't like to have. When people ask, why does Apple always act like they invent features later than everybody else? It's because Apple operates at a scale that most companies will never get to. When they sell something in their iPhones, like an LTPO display that goes from 1 hertz all the way up to 120 hertz, they not only have to make sure that that tech exists, they have to make sure the supply chain can handle actually selling that many units. It's the same thing that McDonald's has to go through when they want to introduce a new item to their menu. They have to ensure that it's not going to just disappear because they bought out all of the units, because they're going to sell more than everybody else. So something like this with Frore Systems, what they're really asking is not, Apple, use this in our MacBook Air, because this company's too small. They can't make enough of these. What this is Apple has to buy this company. That's the only solution where they actually have enough product to put in all of the MacBook Airs that Apple ships out, because Apple does volume like no other PC manufacturer in the entire world.
Yeah, the speakers are kind of quiet, if you ask me.
Have you listened to the new MacBook Airs? The speakers are actually quite loud.
I made funny jokes.
They're good.
Okay?
They're good.
Make the laugh, please.
So I really like this. Ever since I heard about the Airjet, my first thought was MacBook Air. You can get a lot more performance out of it. But I don't think Frore Systems could actually handle what Apple would take in order to do this. And also, everything else would be too small volume. There's not another company that they should be pitching themselves to of like, hey, put us in your product.
I would love to see like some sort of DIY kit that maybe they could sell.
So with everybody else, Frore Systems showed off a laptop where it was pre-done. Linus's video was them doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And that required removing the Touch ID, removing the keyboard, and removing MagSafe. So you basically get rid of tons of functionality in order to have the space to include that.
So,
and then
like,
you also have to shave the outer chassis by 300 microns. Can you do that? I can't do that. Linus couldn't even do it.
Does it have to be exactly 300?
It does, because if it's more than that, you have too much of a gap. You need a sliver of a gap to get enough air intake to create the static pressure.
And then too much and it gets all...
And then there's just...
Blah, 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 blah.
The air goes wherever it wants if it's too much. Yeah, so this is a very niche system where I agree with you. A DIY solution would be amazing. We're nowhere near that, and you could see Apple being like, okay, well, if you're going to deactivate our stuff, you're not allowed to use your MacBook.
Yeah, like the Apple thing where like, oh, it gets a little too wet. No more warranty. This is like, oh, you detached the F key? Whole thing brick.
F for you. Pay respects to your lack of wallet. You got to buy a new one. Oh, but don't worry, because Reece is here to save you money on that.
Yo, welcome back to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet, and it was actually surprisingly difficult to find deals today in the wake of all the deals that have ended for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Thankfully, some are on like a Cyber Week kind of vibe, so that's what we've got here, starting with the glorious GMMK 60% bare bones mechanical keyboard kit, which you can pick up for only $34.99, making it $20 off. Throw in your favorite switches, your favorite keycaps, and hey, you got a nice new keyboard to keep you through the next year. But then next we have this 8BitDo Ultimate Wireless Controller with the charging dock, available in black for only $34.39, making it $15.60 off. But then something you can absolutely pair with that is the Microsoft Xbox Series X console, which is currently going for only $449.99, making it $50 off, and honestly a great pickup for the holiday season. And with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, I'm gonna hand you off back to Brett and Kyler for the rest of your hot news. Cheers.
Thanks, Reece, but guess who's getting a bad deal right now?
Me!
Tesla.
Oh,
Why?
it's Tesla.
Why are you having a bad
I don't
deal?
just assumed.
Okay, well, I haven't covered this because it's been mostly political, and it still kind of is, but there's been an ongoing strike over in Sweden against Tesla, especially for them demanding workers' rights in areas that they don't believe that Tesla's providing that. However, it has now escalated to a new level. Not is it just Elon Musk hating unions and being like, I will never negotiate with the union, never, just no collective bargaining whatsoever. But now, in order to stand in solidarity with the Swedish Tesla workers, some of the government agencies in Sweden, such as the Postal Agency, have stopped shipping license plates to Tesla in order to put them on their vehicles so that they can actually sell them.
This feels like if you did it in America, you'd get in a lot of trouble.
Well, that's exactly what's happening, because Tesla has turned around and has started suing not just the Swedish Postal Agency, but they're actually also suing PostNord, which is one of the courier services in Sweden, which we did a short on them.
Yeah, don't people hate them?
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
bad things about PostNord. They delivered that computer that was like completely destroyed.
It was the Leaning Tower of Peace.
Seas. So we'll keep you updated as this lawsuit's going on, but Tesla is alleging that this is a unique attack against the US company, and we'll just keep you updated as all of that progresses. But now we got some progress on finding out about AMD's flagship in the mobile sector, the 7900M. New benchmarks are coming out, and while the performance is good, one key area that Apple always wins in, and it turns out now NVIDIA wins in too, and that is battery life.
No.
The 7900M is trash. when it comes to battery. It does outperform the RTX 4080 when it comes to performing at comparable levels at the same power consumption, but the difference is that the AMD laptop with the 7900M, it's got power bugs, which is a problem.
That sounds like a good thing.
No, it is not. This is the exact same problem that popped up with the RX 7900 XTX and XT when they first launched. Their power consumption was always too high when they were doing nothing. So you can see right here that the RTX 4090 with an i9 CPU gets 25% better battery life in the reader idle test and 206% better battery life on the Wi-Fi test and 7% better battery life when it's under load.
206%?
Yes. So it turns out that the standby power consumption of the AMD laptop is 25.6 watts. That is crazy. That should be between 1 and 2. It is way too much, and this is something that AMD has been plagued with in the RDNA 3 generation. Their cards just consume a ton of power. It used to be on the desktop that, especially if you're using more than one monitor, like you were consuming 100+ watts doing nothing, just running. The GPU is going full tilt for some reason.
Full throttle.
Small throttle. It's just too much.
Too much throttle.
On a desktop just means that your power bill gets increased. On a laptop, it means that your laptop is less functional because you can't even take it off the wall. This is like normally, right, with a gaming laptop, if you're unplugging, you're not gonna be doing gaming with it. You're not gonna be doing the performance stuff. You can on a MacBook, you can't really on a Windows laptop. But even with this, even if you're just doing basic web browsing, you are suffering in battery life.
Solution.
I wanna hear it.
2-step process.
Yes.
3-step process.
AMD,
actually.
got it.
AMD. A stands for absolutely unlimited supply of money for your power bill. M is make sure you take the battery out of the laptop. And then D is plug it in and never unplug it.
That would solve all of the problems.
That's it.
Just buy a desktop at that point. No, you're right. Don't do that.
Thank you.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
I rest my case.
He rests his case, and I rest on comments. Or the comments don't rest. That would have made more sense. Let's talk about it. Jeff coming in and saying, would making the 3D V cache into a shader cache for older and newer games work well? I don't know, but there's specialized cache in AMD's GPUs for this reason, because accessing that makes it better, and they run faster, even if that was NVIDIA's justification for why they didn't put in more VRAM, because they were like, we specialize the cache.
It's my nickname in high school. NVIDIA.
NeoWolf saying, imagine running Windows 98 on an X3D system with the system's RAM as the HD and the 3D V cache as the RAM. The numbers match up to a good system from that time, but the transfer speeds are orders of magnitude faster, as is the CPU, even without the extra cores. Infected by a rando virus and crashed by a script kiddie at the speed of light.
That got weird real fast at the end there.
It makes sense.
I didn't like it.
You didn't grow up on Windows 98. You were barely alive.
I was...
What was your first Windows operating system? Do you even remember?
First Windows was...
Mine was the Band.
Like the one from Star Wars?
The @ says, I'm pretty sure that the Threadripper can render better than my GPU. I have a custom, thanks V1 Tech, OC'd reference 970, which still works well. It's really a shame NVIDIA's going to make me upgrade. Okay, number one, shout out to V1 Tech for getting you a GPU. I don't know why or how, but that's awesome. Number two, it's a shame NVIDIA's gonna make you upgrade from the GTX 970 that launched in 2014, the 10-year-old graphics card.
8. My first operating system was Windows 8.
That sucks. Yikes. That's rough.
That's a joke. I'm making everybody feel old.
Oh, good. Richard Johnson comes in saying, business owner decisions. I totally feel that. I'm the first in the office, the last to leave, and always take my pay after everyone else is taken care of. I think that's most business owners. #respect. You didn't watch Hot News, so you don't understand why he's saying that. But I'm not bringing this up because of the #respect. I'm bringing this up for the white-erdy dude.
White dirty dude? White nerdy dude?
Maybe, missed the
But
end.
without the N?
Yeah. He said, and most business owners extract surplus value from their employees by not paying them the full value of what they produce. This is after any deductions necessary to maintain the business. This is definitionally exploitation because they are taking the benefits of someone else's labor because what? They're the boss? That's not very respectable. What do you think?
This is turning into like a socialism.
Do I extract your value?
Here. I don't...
Do you want more value?
Help.
I'll help you by closing out with Floppy Disk saying, the only thing I'm getting this Cyber Monday is a Digimon.
What do you mean? Is there a Digimon for sale?
I don't know.
Oh.
I have no idea. I just thought this was hilarious. I have no context for it. It's one of the best things I've ever heard.
Got some low standards.
I heard you. Got him. I'm just kidding. I
fair.
very much appreciate you
very
working
fair.
here, and I am
very
not at
fair.
all bitter that you didn't work on the holiday and I had to.
I understand.
All right. We'll see you back here for more hot news tomorrow.
Good night. Hey, bye. Bye. Good night. Hey, see ya. Bye.